I don't feel good. I'm on Mom, I love her.
Those are the words of a 13-year-old who probably thought they were going to die after being shot 11 times by the police. I haven't done a video in the spur of the moment before, but after watching the body cam footage that was released earlier this week, I feel compelled to. Because this story highlights so much wrong with our current systems, and it's bigger than the police. The police are definitely a huge problem though, and it's not because of a lack of training. It doesn't take training or being a mental health professional to not shoot a 13-year-old kid walking away from you in the back. The officer who shot him is currently on paid leave as they investigate. But I think we know how that will go, especially after we just got the verdict for the police that murdered Breonna Taylor, where only 1 out of the 4 police have been charged. Not for shooting Breonna Taylor, but for the bullets that missed because they hit the walls of nearby apartments. So let's get into this. What were all the things that had to go wrong for this tragedy to occur? This family had no support in the area. The child's grandfather had been killed in January by the police. The mom let the police know that he was terrified of seeing the uniforms. It was a triggering thing for him, feeling that he would have to flee or defend himself after seeing what happened to his grandfather. Since then, the mom has been struggling with depression. So we have a family all alone, no supports, struggling with mental health. And it was hard to listen to how the mom spoke about her child. But at the same time, I can't be that upset with her. She's someone who's trying to get by. I talked about this in one of my earlier videos about Float and how the systems drive parents to be worried and just under tons of pressure. And you can see that happening here, the way she talks about how expensive therapies weren't making a difference. They weren't changing him. She even mentions having to call the cops on her other son. The police have basically become a support system for her because she doesn't know what else to do. So she's regularly calling the police on her 18-year-old and 13-year-old son. And even then, as she's talking to the police, she's worried about making sure that her son gets to a specific facility that's covered by her insurance because the one nearby isn't. And this is someone who is clearly trying to be an entrepreneur or someone trying to do something to make any money they can.
And I just gotta put on my big girl panties and freaking make money.
She has her own cleaning business. She had just started renting out part of their house, as we can hear her talk about how it's the first day the renters moved in when the police was there and ended up shooting her son. And she goes on about how she can't get support, she doesn't know what to do. He just needs to be sent to a hospital, and how expensive that support is. $1,600 a day. So even with the insurance, she could not afford it. And of course, going to clean houses during the pandemic isn't exactly safe for your well-being. And the mom had not really been going into work much. But since she was struggling to get by and clearly trying to find more sources of revenue, her company had taken on more work and she needed to help her workers. So when she went in, her son was suffering severe separation anxiety, which is understandable. I've been way more stressed out with the way this year has been going. I can't imagine being 13 years old and worried about all the things that are going on and having lost my grandfather. And now he's left with injuries in his shoulder, both his ankles, intestines, and bladder, all of which is going to cost a hell of a lot of money in the United States. So I think it's clear, listing these off, how many things could have gone differently before this point that might have helped this family. And even after all of this, it's not gonna happen. I'm glad to see that the GoFundMe is doing well, and I'm gonna link that down below. And if you're able to, I hope you give them support. But it doesn't change the systemic problem.
He was running away. He was running away.
His mother, Golda Barton, had called 911 earlier, saying her son was having a mental breakdown, and she needed help getting him to the hospital. She asked for a crisis intervention officer.
How many other people are going to go through this? So yeah, it's frustrating seeing, after months and months of uprisings, protesting the police, to still see incidents like this happening. But it's ridiculous, all the lack of supports there are, what the politics of austerity have brought us. There are so many things that can be done to help people, but everyone's left to struggle on their own. And when things get real bad, they don't know what else to do. And everything else that's going on, all of these things are just going to increase. We have to help each other in any way we can, but we also have to keep fighting. And not just for, even defunding the police, it's not enough. We need healthcare, we need housing. People deserve to be treated like human beings.
So my father was murdered January 16th, and literally our whole lives fell apart. Like my business, everything, like nothing mattered, and he reacts to the outfits and everything like that. There's nothing we can do about that because you're the only people we can call, because the insurance, I paid like freaking like like a whole year's worth of salary last month to get him treatment in Nevada because his insurance wouldn't cover it. I had to take him out against medical advice because of the fact I couldn't afford freaking $1,600 a day no more.